And we are live.
Let's go, guys.
So listen, guys, we there's a few different ways this show can go today. We can do an hour and a half SEC preview, give our official predictions, or if you guys would rather, we also could just do a 15-minute episode about how LSU or Auburn's going to win the SEC. Those are your two options, but I think we're going to go with the first option here, Brandon. But we're trying to be more and more active on the live streams. And, what a perfect episode to start this off by going live with our SEC preview. We know that's the conference that most of our listeners probably care the most about. We have new graphics, new opinions, new hot takes, probably new grudges here. We know how Brandon is with that. We're going to be breaking down the SEC today, giving our official predictions of this loaded conference. I mean, this thing could go any which way. So, Brandon, without further ado, let's not keep anybody waiting here. Also, guys, if you want, you can also comment on here. We'll post and answer questions live while we're talking. So do that. But we're going to start with the SEC East here. I feel like that's the least controversial pick here. So, Brandon, who is your number 7 or last place team in the SEC East?
Well, my last place team, and it's not just in the SEC East, spoiler alert, it's in all of the SEC. I've got the Missouri Tigers, and you want to know why? Because I don't see them winning a game all season long. I mean,
that's tough.
It would be a miracle if they did. They're not going to.
That is so disrespectful. You don't have them winning a single game?
Who would you have them beating, Zach? Because I don't see a game. I see a lot of games where they might be in like contention, maybe against, I don't know, Vanderbilt or maybe Arkansas, but I don't think they even pull those games out.
I mean, I would say probably Vandy, right? I mean, I don't understand how you don't have Vandy last. But go ahead. Talk about how the Missouri Tigers aren't going to win a game this year.
I just don't think that they are. I don't know what you really want me to say. Do you want me to go into depth about the quarterback room or lack thereof, or maybe just how they kind of gave up on themselves after they snitched on themselves about violating NCAA rules? Because I mean,
that's true.
Once they did that, it was pretty much game over, right? And yeah, I got a notepad, I got a legal pad. Who cares? I took notes. I don't have a computer, well, except for the one I'm shooting on right now, but. Yeah, I mean, I'm here. I'm doing it big.
I can't go with Missouri here, guys. I have another terrible team that I don't have winning a game this year, and that's the Vanderbilt Commodores. I mean, really and truly, I have no grudges with Vandy. I wish I could put them anywhere other than last place on this list, but this offense brand is not going to allow it. They have the 126th ranked offense in the country. Only their rushing attack ranks inside the top 100 in terms of offensive production returning. That's garbage. The offensive line's one of the worst in the SEC. They lost Kalasha Lipscomb. They lost Keyshawn Vaughn. They both went to the NFL. I don't have very much confidence in Vandy finding a replacement. Brandon, you talk about quarterbacks with Missouri. How about this? Vandy's quarterbacks that they have on their roster right now have thrown a combined 9 total college passes. All 9 were for other teams that were not Vanderbilt.
Well, that just shows, you're talking so much crap about Vanderbilt. I mean, what other schools were there, Zach? Were they better schools that maybe you respect a little bit more? It sounds like you hate Vanderbilt.
No, I believe all 9 were junior colleges. So
what's wrong with JUCO? You got an issue?
I mean, there is nothing wrong with JUCO, but I mean, Brandon, the first start for this quarterback with no experience is going to be Texas A&M at Kyle Field, and then in week 2 they have to host the defending national champion LSU Tigers. I mean, for those to be your first 2 games of the starting quarterback does not bode well. I mean, they do have a decent pass rush, just 23rd in the country, but outside of that, man, there's nothing that I'm really looking forward to for Vanderbilt. It doesn't look like it has the pieces to rebound from a 3-9 season. Those 3 wins all came outside the SEC last year. And now when you have a 10-game schedule, all SEC opponents, this is going to bode very bad. And Brandon, I know we've had him on the hot seat before. Derek Mason, I think his seat could be obliterated at the end of 2020.
Not a good football coach. I mean, it's simple as that.
No, and we talked
So
last episode about Nebraska drawing Ohio State a year after they already drew them like across divisions. What about Vandy drawing LSU for the second year? How is that even possible? And how did they get 2 straight home games against LSU?
I don't know, but you better believe the bar's about to run dry in Nashville again, just like last year by like 11 a.m.
That's true, but look, listen, guys, we're gonna snake this like we usually do. But Brandon, for my 6th team in the SEC East, I have the South Carolina Gamecocks. I
Really?
know
Okay.
that is very low. I have them winning. God, I have them winning 1 game this year. I think they're going to be that bad of a team, and I know that sounds crazy, but Will Muschamp might be on his last leg in Columbia. I don't think this year he's going to be able to save his job. And I think changes could be a coming for the Gamecocks, Brandon. I really do. I mean, 4-8 last year, losses to Appalachian State at home. That's not forgivable for an SEC team. Yes, I do like Appalachian State, but if you're South Carolina, you got to win that game. And like, what's up?
I would like to tap. They also beat Georgia last season. If we're talking
Yeah,
about last season.
yeah, Georgia with Jake Fromm. Georgia with Jake Fromm. And, only their rushing attack is a top 50 unit in terms of offensive production. Quarterback's a major issue. Brandon, incumbent starter Ryan Helinski, we talked about him looking decent last year at points, and we were really excited to see him take that next step. He lost his job this all season.
Yeah.
Incoming transfer Colin Hill takes over. In 3 years at Colorado State, over 3,300 yards, 23 touchdowns, but 11 interceptions. And he's also coming off an ACL tear, which was pretty nasty. So we haven't seen him since he's recovered. They also, Brandon, you were really high on this guy. They have to replace Javian Kinlaw. They have to replace Brian Edwards at wide receiver. And those guys are both going to play on Sundays now. And Zach Pickens and Jordan Birch, great replacements, especially Birch. I mean, he's one of a kind. Orte Smith and Shy Smith are going to aim to replace Edwards, but Brandon, this offense last year, Edwards was the only true target at some points. I mean, we saw it at Appalachian State game. He couldn't rely on anybody to get open. So I see the Gamecocks having a lot of individual talent like Birch and some other players, but they always just seem to be a few pieces away from putting it together. And with an all SEC schedule, I don't see it being a story where South Carolina can be a dark horse or anything. I think South Carolina has one of its worst years in history.
Yeah, I'm not too far behind you on that one. I'll save it for my spiel though. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to my next pick here. So second to last in the SEC East. I guess I'm kind of following Zach's footsteps at this point, but I've got Vanderbilt. No one ever thought that Derek Mason was a good head coach. No one ever thought that maybe he played a down of football in his life if you've seen him coach. Not a good football coach. I had them going 2-8 actually this season. So I have them winning 2 games. Zach has them winning none. I've got them beating Missouri, obviously, and then I've got them winning just one of those toss-up games like they always seem to. Like they always seem to sneak out and get a win against just a team that maybe they shouldn't win against. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think there's really a strong point to this team, which isn't a thing you can say about a lot of these teams on this list. I promise you guys, it's going to get a lot more interesting as we keep going. It's not just going to keep being, they're awful, so I'd have them bad. No, but I'll go ahead and move on to my next pick if we're snaking it. And right in Zach's footsteps again, I've got South Carolina at number 5 in the SEC East. I'm not super high on this team, but they show a little bit of breakout talent every now and then. I mean, obviously, like I mentioned earlier, the Georgia game last year was not a good game. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't even say they really won that game. I think Georgia more so just blew that game. I mean, if you watched any of that game, that's true. You don't really win a 3 overtime game, do you? So I don't know that South Carolina can really rebound and become the team they were 10 years ago. We like to bring that up so much in this podcast. Don't know if they'll ever do that again, but it's certainly not going to be this year if they do. A lot of injuries to this team, a lot of good talent gone to the NFL, like Zach mentioned. South Carolina, not going to be your year. I also have them winning 2 games. I have them going 2-8 this season.
Oh, 2-8. That's tough. I mean, we get to move on here just a little bit, but we're gonna have the Missouri Tigers falling in my fifth spot. Yeah, I believe Brandon also had them fifth, but I have them going 3-7. Listen, I actually really like some players on this team. I think they have a lot of individual talent. They're probably going to be 1-2 years away from being a real threat in the SECs. I mean, you look back a few years ago. I mean, they were in what 2-3 straight SEC championships when they first joined the conference. I mean, they went up against some really, really good Auburn, Alabama, teams, but this defense is going to be one of the best in the country, Brandon. I know you previewed but they're not all going to suck. The offense for Missouri, they suck. The reason I have them here is because of their defense. Nick Bolton, I don't know if anyone's heard about him, but he's might be the best linebacker in the SEC. I mean, coming off an 100+ tackle season, he was the third highest graded player in the country by Pro Football Focus. That's pretty stout for playing for Missouri, where he had no help. He had 2 interceptions. One of those returned for a touchdown, 7 pass breakups, and he was a lockdown linebacker, and he could rush and stack the box and stop the run. He's an all-around linebacker. I believe Cole Kublik had him as the number 2 linebacker in the SEC, right behind Dylan Moses. So the kid's a stud. Kobe Whiteside on the D-line. From the defensive tackle spot, Brandon, 7.5 sacks. That's outrageous. His film reminds me of Javian Kinlaw. And I think he can play anywhere on the defensive line. So he's going to be a future NFL pick. And then you move back, you have Devin Nicholson and Tyree Gillespie, who are both going to to step up and contribute more than they did. So I guess last year as much. They had some moments, but they were young, inexperienced. They're going to get there. I think Sean Robinson is going to win the QB job. Every sign is pointing to that. He spent 2 years at TCU. He set out last season because of transfer rules. That kind of sucks. But, he brings a dual threat ability that's been a staple in the SEC the past few years. The best teams, maybe outside of LSU last year, have a true dual threat quarterback. But Joe Burrow has some wheels. Joe Burrow's draw play is the most deadly in college football I've seen in years. I mean, that he just booked it up the middle, but he had over 300 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns at TCU. His accuracy needs to improve, but he does have big playability. He was the starting quarterback, in case you guys remember, a few years ago when TCU almost beat Ohio State in week 1 matchup. I think it was 2016 or something like that, or 17. But he was a starting quarterback as a true freshman and played really, really well in that game. QB play and injuries held Missouri back last year. The defense is going to win them some games this year. And I think Eli Drinkowitz is going to have this team back into serious SEC contention in 2-3 years.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't have them nearly this high. They were my last ranked team in the conference. So Zach's a little bit higher on them than I am. That's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's all good. But listen, guys, my 4th ranked team, it's one that I think could be higher, arguably, but there's something about it. I don't know who's going to be the starting quarterback. I've got questions if they can replace a big player, and that's the Kentucky Wildcats. I think they're 4th here. I have them going 5-5. Respectable. Yep. I think they could beat my number 3 team and move up a spot. But we'll have to. I wanted to hold back. I have more confidence in the experience and some other stuff going for my number 3 team. But Mark Stoops can never be doubted, Brandon. What he's done with this Kentucky program makes him just one of the most unique coaches in the country for me. But Brandon, the offensive line's where it goes. I mean, it's Darian Kennard, Drake Jackson, Luke Fortner. I mean, they all were some of the highest graded offensive linemen by Pro Football Focus. I mean, Kennard ranked only 2nd behind Penei Sewell at Oregon as the best offensive tackle last season. And Fortner was one of the top 15 highest rated guards. Jackson had the fewest negative plays for an offensive guard in the entire country. Brandon, the quarterback is the reason I have him here. I mean, Terry Wilson right now is the projected starter. Joey Gatewood still has his eligibility in question. I don't know what's going on with that. There was a rumor that Auburn and Kentucky had a gentleman's agreement that he wouldn't play in that game since Kentucky and Auburn play this weekend, but then Mark Stoops knocked that down. So I don't know what's going on with there. But if Gatewood's the starting quarterback, I think this team easily could slide into the 3rd spot. I mean, when you have a 6'6", 250 quarterback come in there that I think that is going to put him over the top. I mean, he's the number 3 quarterback in the country coming out of high school. But the defensive side of the ball, Brandon Eccles steps into his CB role. He was first in the entire country in yards per cover per snap last season. Quandre Mosley allowed only 3 catches last season while racking up 3 interceptions. The front 7, Jamar Watson. I mean, on 328 pass rushing snaps, Brandon, he generated pressure on 22% of those, which led the country. So this team has talent at all levels. Mark Stoops has been building a contender for years. They won 8 games last year, Brandon, with a wide receiver playing quarterback who never plays quarterback in his life. And all 3 quarterbacks went down with injuries. So I don't think you could ever overlook the Kentucky Wildcats.
No, I definitely agree with you there. And that's why I actually have them at my number 4 position as well. And I think from here on for Zach and I, unless he's just going to break my heart, I think our remaining standings in the SEC East are going to stay the same. I don't know. I hope so. So yeah, I've got Kentucky at 4 as well. Yeah, I echo all those sentiments 100%. You know, and the thing that really stuck out to me most about what you just said, Zach, is that you think that it's pretty interchangeable between this team and the next team on my list, or on your list rather. And it's really going to come down to that game between the two. And I actually have Kentucky losing to that team for right now, and that's why I have them at number 4 on my list rather than number 3. I have both of those teams going 5-5. A little preview into my future. So yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the next team, Zach, because I don't want to just say everything that you just said again. So I've got Tennessee right here at number 3. I think this Tennessee team has a lot of potential. I think they have a ton of potential to be good. And to be completely honest with you, I think between my number 4 and number 2 in the SEC East, pretty interchangeable. I think things are pretty up for grabs. I think the number 1 team's locked down, I would say. But I think between Kentucky, Tennessee, and the next team on the list, you know, anything could happen. I think there's a lot going on in the SEC East this year. But I think the key to this Tennessee team is it's going to be kind of what we saw out of them last year, what kind of wowed us last year. It wasn't necessarily the entire offense, but what it was for me was that offensive line. I think that offensive line is stout. I think they're super powerful. And I think they could go toe-to-toe with almost any defensive front in the country. I mean, obviously, they're being led by what's his name? It's Trey Smith, the senior guard. Yep, yeah, fantastic offensive lineman going into his senior season. So I think he's had time. You know, if he wasn't already a leader on this team, I think that he's certainly stepping into that role now. And right behind him, he's got Garantano, who's going into his senior season as well. And you know, the only thing I can say about Tennessee at this point in time is that, you know, we all saw them last season. And, you know, to start the season out, maybe it didn't look so hot, but as the season kept rolling on, I mean, Zach, they looked fantastic by the end of the season. And, you have to wonder what would have happened if we would have seen that team throughout the entire season last year. So, yeah, I think Tennessee has a legitimate shot. You know, maybe 1 or 2 games don't go right for my winner in the SEC East, and Tennessee has a real shot to be up there, I think. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility whatsoever.
I mean, I have them picked as probably one of the most improved teams in the entire SEC this year. I mean, across both divisions. You know, I just don't think their record is going to reflect how much better they got. And, you know, if you take out the 2 extra conference games and put in 2 out of conference games or whatever, I think this team has so much more potential in that arena than now. But I mean, Jeremy Pruitt, outstanding job right now. And
yeah, we're no longer on the fired Jeremy Pruitt train, by the way.
Yeah, man, how far did they come after losing to Georgia State and BYU? I mean, they went on a roll. I mean, they were beating Georgia in the first half while Georgia was on a roll and they were healthy. But this team's going to go as far as Jarrett Guarantano takes them. I mean, he holds the keys to the entire season. So far in his career, he's thrown for over 5,000 yards, 32 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Those in 3 years. But his big positive, Brandon, is his turnover-worthy play rate, which is top 25 in the country. His accuracy over the middle of the field has to improve, but I think another year of experience is really, really going to help him with that. And like you said, the offensive line ravaged by injuries, ravaged by just wild things coming out of nowhere. That explains why Pro Football Focus actually had it ranked 117th in the country going into the year. I think it is so much better than that. I mean, like you said, Trey Smith, highest graded offensive guard in the SEC while he was healthy last season. Wanaya Morris, Darnell Wright, both tackles are back. They played as true freshmen last year. That's going to be a huge jump in production that we see from those two guys. And the defense is a top 35 defense going into the season. The secondary is going to be one of the best in the SEC. Sean Schamberger only allowed 0.55 yards per snap last season in coverage against SEC competition. Bryce Thompson, 6 interceptions. After a year of experience, is going to be much better. Jalen McCullough was the 6th ranked deep safety in the SEC as a true freshman. This team has so much potential, and that's what defines this team. It's a team with potential that can't afford injuries in certain places like they've had in the past few seasons. And I think the Volunteers are going to be 1 year away, Brandon, but I don't think they're there yet. And I think the top 2 teams in this conference are leaps and bounds right now ahead of them. I don't agree with you that they can jump up past this. I think this is pretty much their ceiling.
Okay. I mean, sure.
Okay, well, we'll go to 2. I know I don't know which way Brandon has this one, but I have the Georgia Bulldogs at 2. I know everybody watching is like, the Georgia Bulldogs at 2? Are you serious? Yes, I know it's going to have some backlash. I'm just not confident in this quarterback situation right now. I mean, Jamie Newman's gone. He decided to opt out. After I don't understand what happened with that situation, but we're never going to knock anybody for opting out. That's all good. But, they also lost J.R. Reed, Andrew Thomas, Isaiah Wilson, DeAndre Swift. All those players are playing on Sunday now. There's no room to grow either. Brandon, they get Auburn, Tennessee, and Alabama all in like the first 2-3 weeks of the season.
Well, not only that, I mean, right after that stretch, they get Kentucky, and then they get a bye week, and then Florida. So, yeah.
I mean, it's going to be a brutal, brutal schedule for Georgia right now, and the defense is going to be good. Listen, they're the number 1 projected defense in the country right now. That's hands down their strength. And Eric Stokes, DB, 7th in incompletion rate over the last 2 seasons, and he's just been one of the most consistent defensive backs in the country. Richard LeCount is back, 5 interceptions, 7th best free safety grade in the country. George Pickens is back, Brandon, on offense. If you want to look for an offensive reason, then I mean, that's your guy, Brandon. I mean, how high were you on George Pickens? Brandon, 0 drops on 49 catchable targets last season.
Yeah,
for a true freshman in the SEC. I mean, playing the best of the best. He's just going to need help. I mean, Brandon, we saw when injuries ravaged this Georgia wide receiving unit, what happened to Jake Fromm's completion percentage, the offense's flow. I mean, it was either he hit George Pickens or DeAndre Swift found a way to break a run. That was the entire offense. And Zamir White's got to step up and replace DeAndre Swift. He was the number 1 running back in 2018. He's going to have to help this offense open up. And Brandon, I know we talked about it a little bit today. I think it was on Twitter when I sent you this. I mean, JT Daniels, as of today, is not cleared to play, which means DeJuan Mathis is most likely going to be the starter. Brandon, I know you love this guy. 247's comparison for Mathis is Felipe Franks.
That's really good. That sucks. It sucks when you get compared to another college player on 247.
You know what's even funnier? Mathis's first opponent is going to be Felipe Franks because Georgia plays Arkansas this weekend. So you get to play your comparison this weekend. Listen, it's an outstanding story, though. I wish the best for Mathis. He did have to endure surgery this past year to remove a brain cyst. So the kid's got determination, and if anyone can step up, it's him. But the Bulldogs have so much talent at every position, Brandon. But I think experience in this COVID-altered season is going to mean so much more than just pure talent. That goes completely against, Georgia. And Brandon, the biggest thing for me, the reason why Georgia has that extra loss for me, drawing Bama out of the SEC West absolutely kills the momentum of this Georgia team. And then to have Auburn week 2, Florida still early, Kentucky still early. I mean, they just have a brutal schedule, and I think that's going to hurt Georgia more than anything.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I also have Georgia my number 2. In case you didn't hear me, Dogs will beat Florida by 10 plus.
We have a comment. Dogs will beat Florida by 10 plus. I can't get behind that one. But go ahead, Brandon. I
don't know. The biggest takeaway for me in this offseason was the whole quarterback room situation in Georgia. Not only this, but apparently their entire offensive line either went to the NFL or transferred or something else. I mean, their offensive line this past season was incredible, and it's been incredible for the past however many years. I mean, that's why they're putting out, these running backs who can rush for thousands of yards every season. I don't know if we're going to see that out of Georgia this season, because I don't know that their offensive line is going to be nearly as good as it has been in the past. Their quarterbacks, like you said, shaky at best. You'd hope to see JT Daniels. I didn't know he was injured until today. I didn't understand. I don't really know what's going on there. Big question mark, but I guess it kind of explains why he wasn't named the starting quarterback yet. I mean, if he starts at quarterback, he and George Pickens are going to be a deadly combo. I mean, deadly is an understatement there. That might be the best quarterback wide receiver combo in college football if we can make it happen. But Zach, let's go ahead and move on. It looks like we both have the same number 1, so let's take it together. We've got Florida. I mean, I don't even know how this is a debate. Oh, by the way, in case anybody was wondering, I had Georgia going 7-3 this season.
What?
And I've got
7-3. Who are they losing to?
Don't worry about it. They have to play Florida, Alabama, and Auburn. I think those are 3 pretty decent opponents, right?
Okay, I had them going 8-2. I had them losing to Florida and Alabama. That's crazy. Okay, but I have Florida going undefeated. I know that sounds outrageous. I don't see a way they lose. I mean, they get LSU at home, and they're better than Georgia. Those are really the 2 games that I'm like sweating in. I think they have the advantage in both of them.
Well, yeah. I mean, who else do they play besides that, Zach? I mean, obviously, they play the SEC East, but in the SEC West, they're playing Ole Miss. They're playing LSU like they do every season. You already said they get LSU at home. I mean, that's the Swamp. It doesn't matter. The home team in that game is usually going to win, just because that home field advantage is insane. I don't know about this season. I'm not sure how many fans are going to be in Florida or are going to be at Ben Hill. Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's Ben Hill Griffin.
Yeah, Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. Who cares?
It's just a bunch of names strung together. Just a bunch of
Ben Hill Griffin. It's just 3 guys. I don't know, man. I just think that they're incredible. This team has really got it all put together. They almost had it all put together last season, and then they returned this season. They didn't lose too much talent. I mean, they lost to Michael Pirine to the draft,
but they replaced him with a 5-star.
Right.
So that's probably an upgrade for some people. I mean, they lose Jonathan Grenard, who was at the Senior Bowl that we kind of covered. They replace him with a 5-star transfer and Brenton Cox from Georgia. It's like everything they lost is just an upgrade. I mean, they lost. I'm blanking on the DB's name right now. They lost the DB, but they have Kaiir Elam, who is my pick for the breakout player of the year. I mean, listen, and Brandon, I know that I'm probably higher on Kyle Trask than you are, but I don't understand how anybody doesn't have him the top quarterback in the SEC right now. I mean, he has a full season of starting experience and led his team to an Orange Bowl win. An Orange Bowl win over Virginia, who finished second in the ACC. Mac Jones only has 3 starts. Miles Brennan's never played. He's better than Bo Nix right now, in my opinion. Kellen Mond can't decide if he wants to play or not. I mean, he's the best quarterback in the SEC right now. And, for his first start since junior high school, Brandon, he puts up almost 3,000 yards, 25 touchdowns, and only 7 interceptions. And he was second in completion percentage and passing yards, only behind Joe Burrow in the conference.
Yeah.
Outstanding. And Brandon, if there's one thing you could say about Dan Mullen, it's that he can develop quarterbacks. and you get
Right.
another year under Dan Mullen. He's my pick for breakout player of the year. And it also helps that he has Kyle Pitts, Brandon. I mean, probably the best tight end in the country. I mean, he had more explosive plays, 15 yards or more downfield than any other Power 5 tight end last year. 6'6", 240 with 4.5 speed. I mean, this kid is elite. I don't know if he's the best tight end after this year because there's a kid that we're going to get to later named Eric Gilbert, as you know. You'll
It's
correct
Eric.
me. Eric Gilbert at LSU. He's going to be a problem. But, Brandon, I talked about the 5-star replacement for Piron, Lorenzo Lingard, out of Miami. He transferred. He ran for over 1,500 yards and 22 touchdowns his senior year in high school. He hasn't really played at the college level, but he is a better overall athlete than Piron was. And, Brenton Cox, like I said, he's coming in to transfer. He was a top 4 freshman edge rusher for Georgia when he was playing. Khair Elam, just one of my favorite secondary players. He's so explosive. You pair him with Marco Wilson, who missed the season with injury, bounced back last year. Sean Davis at safety. He's going to be a future NFL, probably first-round pick. He's that good. But Florida, for me, Brendan, experience in the right places. That's quarterback, head coach, all your coordinators are back. You have experience on the back end of your defense. You have targets who have chemistry with the quarterback. The O-line has been together. I don't understand how you don't pick Florida to win the SEC East this year. I know Georgia is the common, oh, man, how can you pick against Georgia? Look what they've done. If you haven't been paying attention, Florida has been on a roll. Every single year Dan Mullen's been there, they've won a New Year's Six Bowl. This is the year they break through. They're going to win the SEC East this year.
Well, see, and you kind of lost me with the last pick when you said that Georgia and Florida are in a different league than maybe the top half, because to me it's Florida's in a different league than the rest of the SEC East. I mean, that includes Georgia.
Man,
I don't know, man.
The only reason I can't say that is because that Georgia defense, man, that Georgia defense is like a once in every few seasons amazing. And
right.
We have a question here. Any obvious weaknesses? I mean, I still think it's the O-line. I mean, I really do. The O-line struggled against some of the top competition. And another thing is how can they replace, I believe it's Van Jefferson, who has been dominating for the Rams recently. I mean, I think there's some wide receiving holes per se, but I think they have enough talent to replace those. And I think O-line development is a big weakness right now. And I need to see more, but I have more confidence in their experience, I guess, more so than they're not proven. They were young last year. And I think that's their weakness, but I have a real good feeling that Florida's going to address that weakness this year.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you there. And listen, if what I have on right now doesn't tell you something about me putting Florida at number 1 in the SEC East, because it hurts. It hurts me bad. It hurts me so bad to say they're going to go undefeated this season. So if I didn't really believe that, you better believe I'd be in hiding. I might as well just put a paper bag over my head at this point, because I just said that Florida was going to beat LSU. That hurts.
Oh, man.
That hurts me right here.
That's a big step. I feel like we're in AA, and now you get your 1-year chip. You finally admitted that Florida's the better team over LSU in a year.
I don't know if they're the better team. I just think they win.
They're the better team. Let's not lie. If you say Georgia is not in their vicinity, then LSU's definitely not in their vicinity. But guys, me and Brandon got Florida out of the SEC East. We're gonna come back to them in our SEC championship pick, but we got a whole other division to cover. We actually timed that perfectly. 30 minutes for the East. I'm sure the West is gonna take an hour and a half, but I don't know how to do this, Brandon, because I feel so bad talking about this team because they're going to suck. I'll kick it off, so I made you kick it off last time. I know you probably had them last two. Our good old buddies, the Arkansas Razorbacks up there in Fayetteville. I mean, will they be any better, Brandon? I mean, they have to be, because they can't be any worse than they were last year. I mean, North Texas smacked them last year at home, so they get to avoid that. But instead, they get Georgia and Florida out of the East, which couldn't be any worse of a draw. I mean, I'm upset about this, but Felipe Franks, projected quarterback, it's actually an upgrade, Brandon, for what they've had. As crazy as that sounds, Felipe Franks was the upgrade here. He was top 50 in accurate pass rate, but his like ability under pressure is horrendous. I mean, Brandon, I could scream at you, just repeatedly punch you, attack you. You would do whatever you were doing better under pressure than Felipe Franks would.
Yeah, I'm just going to be completely honest with you, Zach. Do you remember last summer when everyone was hyping up Felipe Franks and how good he was going to be for Florida? I do. That was like a big thing last summer. People were talking about it. That was I'm on Tiger droppings. I'll admit it. People were talking about it, and so I haven't heard any of that this season. He kind of fell off the map. I think this is where Felipe Franks attacks. I don't know how good he does at Arkansas. That's a joke. I don't think he does well at all. I have Arkansas winning one game this season. I have them beating Missouri. Zach, do you?
I do too. I do. I have them going 1-9 with the win over Missouri. That's the only game I could maybe give them. I was like, I can't have them going 0-10. I got to give them a game somewhere. I think they beat Missouri, and Brandon, it's mostly because of Rakeem Boyd. Repping the Last Chance U, the Indy Pirates out here. I mean, he's been one of the most consistent running backs in the conference. He's ranked second in the country in rushing touchdowns over 50 yards or more, Brandon. That just shows how explosive this kid could be. Over 1,100 yards rushing last year, 8 touchdowns. The defense is where I'll lose all confidence in the Razorbacks, Brandon. I mean, their secondary ranks 129th out of 130.
Yeah.
And you got to go up against passing attacks like Alabama with Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle. You have to go up against LSU with Arik Gilbert, and I wish it was Jamar Chase, but it's not. I would love to see Jamar Chase go for 700 yards on this defense. You got Seth Williams at Auburn. We just talked about Florida and what they could do with Kyle Pitts. Not great. I have faith in Sam Pittman. I think he can probably rebuild this program a little bit, but listen, it's not going to start this year. And if you're an Arkansas Razorback and you a Razorback fan and you're listening, just hang tight because this year is going to really, really suck for you.
It's going to be so bad. I'm sorry for anybody who might be. Are there any Arkansas fans? Do they exist?
I don't know. I went to one Arkansas game. And listen, Fayetteville's beautiful, man. I'm upset that they suck that bad and they have such a beautiful stadium and a beautiful place to play football. That entire city is beautiful. The fans are actually really dope. I've really, really enjoyed Arkansas. That Arkansas-Auburn game I went to was probably one of my favorite Auburn memories I have. So shout out to the fans in Arkansas.
That's because they're not good enough to be cocky yet, Zach. Exactly. That's why you enjoy
Exactly. I love it. We dominated.
Have you ever met an annoying Vanderbilt fan? I haven't. They're all delightful.
No. Yeah, they are. I have met some annoying LSU fans, some annoying Alabama fans.
They're good. So, all right. So I guess I'm up next. I guess I've got the 2 picks. Yeah. And this one kind of hurts. I don't know. It's not like I like them a lot, but I guess I have some family who likes them. I've got Mississippi State coming up next. Yeah, I don't know. I think they have basically one player on this team, and that's Kylan Hill. And is that it? I know that they've got what's his name? Who's the transfer quarterback this year? KJ Costello, and they've got Mike Leach, I guess. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see KJ Costello in that Mike Leach offense, I guess. Yeah, he likes to let his quarterbacks throw until their arms fall off every single season. So, Kylan Hill, nice knowing you, but you're not getting the ball very much this season. I wish you would, because you're the only redeeming factor, and that was really what did it for me. Not that I thought Mississippi State had much more of I didn't think they had a much higher ceiling. Even if Mike Leach wasn't wanting his quarterbacks to throw for 9,000 yards a season, but he does, and they don't have receivers. And Kylan Hill's really good. So I have them going 3-7 this season. And the only reason that they're ranked here is because I think they lose to the next team on the list, which is, I guess I go again. I'm sorry.
No, you don't. Now, what are you talking about? I go again.
Oh yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Slacking. God, man. Messing
up all the time.
Messing it up. Listen, I got the Ole Miss Rebels here. I got another Mississippi team, 3-7. For me here, I don't think they beat Mississippi State, so I guess we disagree on that. But this was tough because I think there's some talented players on this Rebels team, but the loss of scholarships for those few years, inconsistency at the head coaching position, the holes on this team will hold them back, in my opinion. I mean, Lane Kiffin, he's going to have this team built up in the coming years, but an all SEC schedule for a first-year head coach with a rebuilding job might be just the worst idea of all time. I mean, the offense is going to be explosive, but the top tier defenses are going to be able to help their team outscore the Rebels. I mean, John Rice Plumlee, he's back. He's got to take a giant leap from last year, Brandon. I mean, 99th passing against pressure, 94th in big time throw rate, and 110th in accuracy pass rate. His speed, read option, ability outside the pocket, elite. It's good, but if he doesn't keep teams honest, they're just going to load the box, and this offense isn't going to go anywhere. And we know Lane Kiffin, he likes to push the ball deep. He likes to throw. So John Rice Plumlee has to find a way to show that ability, make some improvement there. He's got Elijah Moore at wide receiver. He's got Jerry and Ely at running back. Both of these guys are going to offer elite targets and help for Plumlee. Moore 10th overall ranked slot receiver last season. Ely was first in the SEC, fourth in the country in broken tackles per attempt last season. Both of these guys are just some of my favorite, most exciting players to watch. The defense, mediocre at best, right now. I feel like we can agree on that. I mean, Sam Williams on the D-line might be the lone bright spot. He brings 4.4 speed to the DN spot, which is outrageous. The secondary, bottom 5 in the SEC year after year. I don't think it's going to be any better this year. Ole Miss has its work cut out for it in the 2020 season. So Lane Kiffin, Rebel fans, go ahead and look to 2021 because it's not going to get any better. Where is it again? I don't even remember where Ole Miss is. Oxford?
Oxford, yeah.
Oh, God.
Or University, Mississippi, really?
Yeah, University of Mississippi. But, guys, for my 5th pick, I think me and Brandon have these flipped. I got the Mississippi State Bulldogs here. I have them going 4-6. I got them one more win than Brandon. Listen, I think Mississippi State is probably the dark horse of the West. I think really and truly they could upset my number 4 team, and I think they could finish top 4. I think Mike Leach's offensive scheme against these defenses is going to be the biggest storyline of the entire year in the SEC. But how does Colin Hill fit? The team's going to have to rely on him. He's probably the best running back or top 2 running back in the SEC. Him and Najee Harris are both right there. I mean, 1,300 yards rushing, 11 total touchdowns. He was explosive and productive last year, even while being banged up. So now he's healthy. He has a new scheme, a new head coach. How is Mike Leach going to find creative ways to put the ball in Colin Hill's hands? And the X factor here, Brandon, I trust KJ Costello more than John Rice Plumlee, which is why I have these teams flipped. He had success at Stanford in a run-first offense, and now he gets to be in a pass-heavy offense under Leach. He ranked top 25 overall in QBR, Brandon. He was top 10 under pressure. He's thrown for over 6,000 yards, 49 touchdowns, 18 interceptions with a 143 QB rating. Can he continue to be efficient, accurate, and explosive? He was 21st in big-time throw rate in 2018. The question mark for me, though, Brandon, is the Bulldogs defense. And when you have a coach like Mike Leach, he does not specialize in fixing defenses, and this defense has a lot that needs to be fixed. Same as Ole Miss, but see abysmal performances by Mississippi State and Washington State's defense last year. Tyler Williams at cornerback, Errol Thompson, Martin Emerson Jr. all have to step up and make significant contributions in 2020. This is a team I'm going to have to make time and watch week in and week out. But Leach doesn't have the firepower yet to hang with the best of the SEC. But this is a team to watch in the coming years. And I think they're a little bit further ahead than Ole Miss.
Yeah, I think you're just absolutely wrong. So let's go ahead and move on. Let's go ahead and move on to my next pick, which is Ole Miss. We did have them flip, Zach. And really, for me, they were pretty interchangeable. I think that Ole Miss ends up winning the Egg Bowl this year. They lost last year as a heartbreaker. Everyone saw it. They missed the field goal that would have pushed it into overtime. Couldn't hit it.
Because of Elijah Moore peeing on.
We don't have to
a fire hydrant.
We don't have to talk about that. No, but I mean, I just I guess it's the exact opposite for me, Zach, is that I trust John Rice Plumlee a little bit more than I trust KJ Costello,
I don't know how.
especially in a brand new offense. And I mean, he and his head coach are both in a new place this season. We haven't seen either one of them play. At least we know what we're getting out of John Rice Plumlee in this offense, right? And we kind of know what we're getting out of Lane Kiffin in the SEC. He's been there before, not as a head coach, but he's been there before. So he knows what the competition's like. I get that it's an all SEC schedule, and that's intimidating to say the least, especially for these first year head coaches like Mike Leach and like Lane Kiffin. But Lane Kiffin's been there before, at Alabama. He's seen success there. He moved on. He went down to I forgot the city, so he just went down to South Florida, and had a lot of.
Isn't it Boca Raton?
It is Boca Raton. Yep, that's exactly what it is. To FAU, and had great success there. I mean, moderate success in his first season, then great seasons for his final two. So, it's exciting to see him come back to the SEC, see him come back to maybe some better competition than the Conference USA. And I think that it's exciting for this offense. Maybe the defense has a few holes to fill. Sure.
A lot of holes. A lot of holes. Don't even lie to our viewers.
No, he does not have any experience fixing up defenses either. But I don't know what it came down to for me is that between Lane Kiffin and Mike Leach, I'd probably like to hang out with both of those guys, but I think I'd have a better time with Lane Kiffin. And so I think Ole Miss is gonna beat out Mississippi State for the 5th position this year.
What a criterion!
Yeah, it sure is.
So go ahead, man. I think I know who you have 4th, and if you have anybody else 4th, because I know you don't have LSU. So if you have anybody else 4th, I'm leaving. I will end the stream. I'm quitting the podcast. So who do you have in your 4th spot?
For disclaimer, Zach, there's a couple ways this could go. So I hope it's. I don't even know what I hope for, but I've got Texas A&M here in the number 4 position. All right, we're clear. We're clear. Good.
Okay. No quitting here. No quitting.
No quitting. Nope. Texas A&M. Sit down. Let's have a talk. We all know this was your season to win. You have Kellen Mond, and he was somehow not going to look like how he looked last year. He was going to look a million times better for some reason. Everyone hyped this up. Everyone hyped up this Texas A&M team. They were going to be leaps and bounds better than last season, and last season they sucked. So I don't really know how. What really did they gain this offseason, Zach?
Nothing.
I don't know because I didn't.
And their top wide receiver, Jamon Osmond, opted out last week.
So it's just blows left and right for this Aggies team. I don't know. I'm really trying to search through my mind right now to try to figure out what people see in Texas A&M for this season. Because people legitimately did think they were going to be better. And it wasn't even like they were like, hey, we have a bunch of kids coming in. We have a bunch of new recruits, and they're going to make this team that much better. It's just like we still have Jimbo Fisher and we still have Kellen Mond, and we're going to be good this season all of a sudden. I just don't see it. I really don't. I have this team. This might hurt a couple people, but I have them going 6-4 this season. I have them losing to the 3 teams ahead of them in this conference, and one of their out of division teams for the. I'm like losing my words here, but yeah, I have them losing 4 games this season. 4 games that are tough. And you can't really say, hey, those are controversial. I think all of these wins, like, there's a good argument for all of them. It's not like they're losing a game that's going to be an upset in my book anyway. So yeah, Texas A&M. I'm not going to throw the fraud word out there yet, but give it about 3 weeks until they play Florida, and I might have to throw that word out there.
Throw it out, mate. I have them at 4th as well. I actually do have them going 5-5. I don't have very much confidence in Texas A&M, man. Look, they're a team I can't really decide what they're going to be because, Brandon, we talked about it a little bit with Cole Kublik. We've talked about it between ourselves. Year after year, there's this inconsistency. College Station is full of unfulfilled promises, unfulfilled potential. That is what College Station is. And Jimbo Fisher has been collecting talent, but he can't seem to put it all together, Brandon. Year after year, they lose games that they probably should have won, and yet they fail to beat the upper echelon of the SEC. Yes, they'll beat Auburn every once in a while. Yes, they'll beat LSU in 7 overtimes, but they never win the games that they're supposed to. And the thing with me is that Kellen Mond, he has one last chance to show that he's an above average quarterback. And he consistently grades right around the top 50, Brandon, for quarterbacks, but he lacks explosion downfield. 109th in big time throw rate. Last season, only 2,800 yards passing, 20 touchdowns, 8 rushing touchdowns, but he had 9 interceptions again. His legs made a difference, but turnovers have to be limited. His potential is limited. Jalen Jones, Damon Demas, they're both freshmen we're going to have to watch. These are 5 stars that are going to play immediately. They're going to have big roles. They're going to have big shoes to fill in the safety spot and the wide receiver spot, especially after Osmond's opt-out. Damon's going to have to play right now and be the number 1 wide receiver on this team. Donnell Harris, McKinley Jackson, both freshman defensive linemen who are going to try to help this pass rush that has been inconsistent at best. I want to believe in the Aggies, but this team is full of what-if type of players who consistently underdeliver for me. And so this team's going to underdeliver in 2020, and so that's why I have them 4th. And so, Brandon, we're coming down top 3 in the SEC West. I know you're going to be upset, and I got the LSU Tigers in 3rd.
That's okay.
Okay, listen. Time out. LSU and my number 2 team actually were tied.
Yeah.
They were tied. I gave the nod to my number 2 team because they got home field advantage in that matchup.
Okay.
And I know who you know. I know you know who that is. And in case you guys want to know, it is Auburn. Auburn gets to host LSU and Jordan-Hare, which is the only reason they're above LSU. And that's it. It was just home field advantage. Because I think LSU and Auburn are very evenly matched teams in most areas on the field. I mean, they have holes. They all have holes. They all have stars. I just give it the home field advantage. If I told you there was a team that had the best DB in the entire country, then you'd give that team a shot in the SEC regardless. I mean, I'm not – Brandon, listen, I know you're a lot higher on him than I am. I think he's going to be good. But, Miles, Brendan, I have to see it, man. Because, listen, I just want to say this for all listeners out there. If anyone's expecting him to be Joe Burrow, please don't expect that. But the things I want to see is, can he limit turnovers and can he get the ball into playmakers' hands like Joe Burrow? Because, yes, Joe Burrow made plays down the field, but he didn't mind dropping it down to Clyde Edwards-Helaire and letting him do his thing. It looks like we lost Brandon here. And, we got big surprise from Nick here. We have Homer from Nick here. We're not letting that slide. Looks like Brandon's back, but listen, Brandon, he didn't mind dropping off to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He didn't mind throwing screens to Jamar Chase or Terrence Marshall. I mean, he just got the ball in playmakers' hands, and I just need to see that from him. But Brandon, Arik Gilbert, that's the kid I want to talk about right now, or Eric Gilbert, whatever. Number 5 player in the country. Arguably my pick for the most exciting true freshman in the SEC. 6'5", 260, 4.7 speed, 35-inch vertical. He had 100 catches, 1,700 yards, and 14 touchdowns his senior year. He had over 240 catches for his career and 35 touchdowns in high school. His size is going to be too much for DBs. His speed and athleticism are going to make him a horrible matchup for most linebackers. Miles Brennan should look his way. Brandon, listen, anytime LSU is inside the 10 to 5 yard line, if they don't throw a fade pass to this kid, I'm going to turn off. That's it. I'm not doing a podcast. There is no reason this kid shouldn't get one target in every single red zone possession, because there's not a player in college football that could stop him right now in the SEC, except for the guy on his own team and Derek Stingley. That's it. That's the only person who I would trust in stopping Arik Gilbert, or Eric Gilbert. My bad. That's really tough. But he reminds me of Gronk with George Kittle's athleticism. That's a
Okay.
deadly.
Jeez.
Yes, I know that's high expectations, Brandon. You think you could probably live up to it, I would imagine.
I hope.
But John Emery steps into Clyde Edwards-Hilaire's, open spot where he now is dominating for the Chiefs. I don't know. I don't think anyone saw what he's doing up there, but he's physical. He has a hard running style. He broke 13 tackles on only 39 carries last season, Brandon. And listen, this is where we're gonna get into some hot takes. And I don't know if Brandon's gonna back me on this or I'm just gonna be stranded out here on a boat where we're gonna get canceled. I think I'm the biggest Deion Sanders fan, but if there's ever going to be another Deion Sanders, it's Derek Stingley. I think that's the ceiling for this kid. I think right now, if I put money on it, I don't make that much being a grad student. I'd put money he's going to be an NFL Hall of Famer one day. That's how good I really think this kid is. I mean, 6 interceptions, Brandon, 15 pass breakups. I mean, he was 5th in the country in INTs, 1st in the SEC, 4th in the country in passes defended, 1st in the SEC. He was the highest graded cornerback in coverage by Pro Football Focus last year and had the most valuable season ever that wasn't by a quarterback in Pro Football Focus history. Yeah. By far, probably the best corner I've ever personally watched in my life, and I think he's a generational talent. And Brandon, so after this, I'll pass it on to you. But I think the X factor for this team is Jabril Cox, the linebacker transfer from North Dakota State. He's going to step into a role left by Patrick Queen, bring a wealth of experience, talent, winning culture from North Dakota State. All these factors are why I think LSU is a sneaky pick for the SEC West, but I need to see more from Brennan. I think their ceiling right now is the number 2 spot, but I gave the second-ranked team advantage due to the home field advantage in the matchup.
I know you did, and you're trying to cover up the fact that you're a homer. We all know you're a homer. Look at you. You're drinking out of an Auburn cup, Zach. We know you're a homer. We get it.
Hang on. So if you don't have LSU here, then you are also a homer. So go ahead. Who is your number 3 team?
Number 3 team is Auburn, and I don't care. I personally do not care. Where's my banner at, Zach? I don't see the banner. This is ridiculous.
There is a banner up.
Well, then I can't see it. This is there we go. Now I got it. See how I get treated around here, guys? This is insane. Yeah, you can't turn this on me, Zach. What's happening? This is ridiculous. I don't know, man. Auburn, yes, they're going to be good. They were good last season. They're going to be good this season. Why? I think they lost a lot, kind of. That defensive line is not going to be the same. Not going to be the same at all. I don't know, man. This offense to me, and I'm not trying to turn this into like a compare Auburn and LSU segment like it is inevitably going to become. But
it's gonna be 45 minutes of who's gonna win the Auburn LSU matchup in like 2 months.
I don't know, man. I don't really understand. I get that Auburn's going to be good, Zach, and I'm trying to understand your perspective. I really, really, really am. But you have Auburn at number I hope number 2 in the SEC West. Good Lord.
I'm just like Auburn's undefeated, number 1. They're winning the SEC. Got an Auburn Florida matchup. It's the Orange and Blue Bowl.
You stole my shtick if you did that, because we can't have 2 homers on the podcast, Zach.
Listen, how about this? I'll make you a deal. We can move on to your number 2 pick because it better be LSU. You can defend LSU, and after that, I'll defend Auburn as my number 2 pick.
Okay, let's do that. I've got LSU at number 2. Go ahead and throw the banner up. And this one hurts. I told you guys with the Florida pick, this one hurts a lot. I have both Auburn and LSU going 8-2, by the way, this season. I have LSU losing games to my number 1. I guess it's not even a secret anymore. I have them losing to Alabama and Florida this season. They have to play both. They play both of those teams every single year. Not to brag, I think LSU cupcake schedule, whatever. They have to play Florida every single year. They play Alabama every single year. They play Auburn every single year. They play an SEC schedule.
They play time out. They play an SEC West schedule. That's what you're looking for.
That's what I'm looking for. But also, they're not Alabama. They don't play Tennessee as their cross division opponent. And yeah, that was a good game. in the 90s, but every other time besides that was just an awful game. Besides when Alabama, early 2000s Alabama, if you want to get really specific here, just maybe the worst football team of all time. But here, we're not here to trash Alabama. We're here to talk about LSU.
We can. If you guys want an episode trashing Alabama, we have hours and hours of content on that.
No, yeah, we can definitely do that. We can probably pull that one together. But yeah, Zach, I mean, you mentioned Jabril Cox for this Tigers team. I think he's definitely going to be a big part, but I don't think he's going to play as big of a role as Derek Stingley or Jacoby Stevens. We are going to get the Alabama trash talk episode out ASAP, guys. I mean, if you guys want to hear it, I don't mind. But yes, Jabril Cox is going to be an incredible player. You have to hope so, at least. I mean, he's coming from North Dakota State. He's coming from an FCS team. But, I mean, this is a really, really good FCS team who might have a chance to beat half the teams on the list that we just listed today. Very, very good. He's an incredible player. But, yeah, I think he's outshined by Derek Stingley and Jacoby Stevens. I think maybe even players like Glenn Logan and Neil Farrell's back for this season. I just think this LSU defense is stacked. And I think we're kind of going back to every LSU team that wasn't this last season where their defense is the shining star. But I think it's a little bit different than past seasons too, because kind of what we've seen out of LSU traditionally is their defense is incredible. I mean, they got all the talent in the world. They're coached up, I mean, to perfection. And then their offense, I mean, you might as well just put the JV high school team out there because they don't have one. You know, maybe they'll have a good running back every now and then. But, I mean, with a couple of exceptions, you know, I know we talk about Jamarcus Russell in college or Matt Flynn. I mean, those are the exceptions. I mean, because on the other hand, we have like Jordan Jefferson throwing 17 interceptions a game. I don't know. I think Miles Brennan's going to be a good quarterback. Obviously, Zach's right. If you're expecting Joe Burrow, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get Joe Burrow out of Miles Brennan.
Ever. You won't get Joe Burrow probably ever again.
Yeah, well, and that's not a bad thing. I mean, LSU had Joe Burrow, so that's pretty sick. I mean, besides that, he does still have weapons, Zach. It's not like it's just Miles Brennan on this offense. I mean, let's go ahead and name the better players on this offense, potentially. I mean, obviously we haven't seen Miles Brennan take a starting position in this offense yet. But, I mean, we've got Terrace Marshall Jr., who I would say might be the best player on this offense. Wide receiver. He's wide receiver 1 now after the unfortunate opt-out that we saw this offseason.
Jamar Chase.
Yes, we weren't going to bring his name up, but now I guess we are. We've got Racy McMath, who's wide receiver 2 in this offense. We've got Eric Gilbert, who we obviously haven't seen at a collegiate level yet, but if Zach's even halfway true about this kid, then I guess we're going to have like a first-team All-American, apparently. And that's all we can really hope for, right? Not only that, but I mean, this offensive line brings back a lot of talent. I mean, they have Austin Deculus and Ed Ingram on this offensive line, who I really think bring this offense to another level. And then they don't only have one running back that's a shining star. They have at least 3 that have the chance to win this starting position. I think it's going to be Chris Curry, just because he was given the number 18 this offseason. But they've also got Tyrion Davis-Price, John Emery, and don't forget about the 4-star running back, 4-star recruit, Kevontre Bradford coming in this season. LSU, do I think they struggle early on in the season? They might. The only reason I'm going to give LSU a pass on that one is because their first 3 games are against Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, and Missouri. So I think they've got a lot of room to build up a little bit of confidence before that Week 4 matchup against Florida.
Oh man.
So yeah, I mean, I think that's 3 hopefully pretty easy wins. Let's knock on some wood real quick. I'll be at the game this weekend. Not to brag, I'm one of the few. I guess 25,000 is a few. That I'm one of the few people that get to watch LSU live this season. But yeah, man, I don't know. I think this LSU team is pretty stacked head to toe. Obviously, they lose big pieces in Joe Burrow and Joe Brady, but it's going to be interesting to see how this LSU team adapts and evolves with the loss of those 2 and a ton of great talent as well. I mean, they lost Jamar Chase. They They lost Grant Delpit. They lost a few other players to opt out. So we've seen a couple players opting back in recently, which is kind of sick. And I'd like to see that continue. I don't know if it'll be in the middle of the season or if that's even allowed this season. But yeah, I mean, I think we'd all love to see that. I mean, the better football we get, the happier we are, I guess is what you can say. So I feel like I've talked about LSU for like half an hour now. So Zach, I hope to God. There we go. Thank you. Okay,
Yes.
let's hear it. Let's hear your spiel.
I already said I have Auburn going 8-2. I have LSU going 7-3, and the only difference is who wins the Auburn LSU game. And like I said, I only gave it because of home field advantage. LSU outside of 2018 hasn't had a lot of success in Jordan-Hare in recent years. And that 2018 game, they were down 21-0 early, and then Joe Burrow led them back, and it was a really, really close game. And Brady can tell you there's been some struggles for Auburn and Death Valley, but recently LSU hasn't played its best games in Jordan-Hare either. We got Ward Down there coming from YouTube. That's right. War Down always and forever. But listen, I think these two teams are very, very equal in terms of talent and experience returning, where Auburn might not have as much experience returning as on like the D line, the offensive line. But they return every single scholarship wide receiver from the roster last year, and only one running back left, which was Boobie Whitlow. And I think that the biggest thing for me is Bo Nix versus Miles Brennan. Is who takes that next step in their development. And I think it could be either one. I'm not saying it's going to be Bo Nix over Miles Brennan. They could both, but Brandon, it's going to come down to which quarterback is ready by that matchup. We saw Bo Nix really struggled against LSU last year, and if Bo Nix plays better, Auburn beats LSU. That defense had Auburn in the game, and Bo Nix failed. They were in LSU territory 4 or 5 times and came away with like 6 points. It was atrocious play down the stretch by Bo Nix. He had, like we've already highlighted, they have him and Burrow from 2018 have almost identical stats. Nix has to be more explosive downfield. He has to be able to attack the middle of the field. The big storyline from I guess spring/fall camp is that new offensive coordinator Chad Morris is incorporating more middle of the field type plays. He's getting the ball in different places. It's not just going to be tunnel screens, run up the middle 3 times. It's going to be a more diverse passing tree, all that. But for me, defense is where Auburn's going to live and die this year. Their offense is going to be what it is. Linebackers, me and Brandon already had this debate. I think Auburn has one of the best linebacking units in the SEC. I mean, KJ Britt tied for the best run defender in the SEC last year. Zacoby McClain, 100-yard pick six against Bama, graded over 80 overall Pro Football Focus with a 13.8% stop rate, which was second in the SEC. Owen Papo, 5-star linebacker, true freshman last year. He's going to be even better in his second year. He was a first-year starter last year, a midseason All-American, a 4.40, 4-second shuttle linebacker, elite athleticism. The big question mark, can Auburn replace 4 starters on the offensive line and find a way to replace top 10 pick Derek Brown, which is no small task. Brandon, I think you even said Derek Brown was the best defensive tackle in the entire country last year. I don't even think it might have been close. And listen, the running game's going to look a lot different. Boobie Whitlow's gone, but 5-star Tank Bigsby, Sean Shivers, Mark Anthony Richards all step in to offer an upgrade at this position. Brandon, this was the story for Auburn last year. I want you to correct me if I'm completely wrong about this. Auburn was 1 to 2 plays away from beating Georgia and LSU last season with a true freshman quarterback and an average offense. But at the same on the flip side, they were 1-2 plays away from losing multiple more games. So it's like, can Auburn continue to win these close games? And what can Bo Nix do to be more improved in the passing game, be more consistent on the road? And I think the defense will this year, Brandon, this is going to be crazy, but coming from Auburn fan, everything I've been reading and I've been studying, this year's defense is going to be better than last year's. Even without Derek Brown, even without Marlon Davidson, the back end of the defense is going to be elite. But the front 7, I need to see a little bit more from the D-line. Listen, I don't think there's this one true contender in the SEC West. And I think LSU, Auburn, and our number one team is going to be a battle. But I think this number one team, I think as an overall unit, is arguably one of the best teams in the country. So, Brandon, let's go ahead and get to it. This is going to be the most brutal talk of all time.
We don't have
It's
to.
It's the Alabama Crimson Tide. And Brandon, do you want me to start, or you want to start? Like, how are we going to do this?
I don't really want to do it at all. I mean, if we're being completely honest, this one's worse than Florida, really. I mean, if you want to get down to it,
I just think they're by far the best team in this division right now. I mean,
yeah.
Brandon, in Pro Football Focus's preseason rankings, they have the 4th ranked offense in the country and the 6th ranked defense, and they have the number 1 wide receiving unit in the entire country, Brandon, after losing 2 first-round picks in Jerry Jeudy and Henry Ruggs. How is that even possible?
It's just stupid.
How are you so deep you lose 2 first-round picks and you're still the best unit in the country? And, Brandon, this is going to be a strong statement. I think this is the deepest team Nick Saban's ever had at Alabama.
Yeah, and, I mean, I was about to go in a similar direction here where I was going to say this is – I talked about LSU having one of their more traditional teams this season. This might be the most traditional Alabama team we've ever seen, ever. I mean, just an incredible defense. I mean, leaps and bounds better than I'd almost say anyone in the conference. I know Georgia's up there, but Alabama, man, I'm serious. Dylan Moses is back.
Elite.
That's a wrap. It's a wrap. Not only that, but this offense is also elite. Maybe minus the quarterback. So the quarterback's the weak point for sure. And Mac Jones is good. That's the crazy thing, is that he's the weak point and he's good. So I don't know. It kind of hurts. Alabama doesn't usually have the best quarterbacks. I guess they have one that's a little bit better than normal. He might come prove us wrong. We don't really know what we're getting out of this kid that we've seen start 3 games, I don't guess. But it's hard. It's hard to be bad when you have this wide receiving core and when you might have the best running back in college football,
and arguably one of the deepest offensive lines in the country. That's a good point.
Exactly what I'm saying. Exactly what I'm saying.
Comment from Periscope. A lot of great Bama teams have had bad quarterbacks. That is a fact. And actually,
McElroy, bad quarterback.
I about to say that was in my notes. I was like, Mac Jones steps into this QB1 role. I don't think he's going to relinquish this position. Bama fans, put some respect on his name. Stop saying Bryce Young's the better quarterback. Just chill. Bryce Young's going to come. Like, he's really good. But Mac Jones is a much more talented quarterback than A.J. McCarron or Blake Sims. I mean, this kid can make plays down the field. I mean, Brandon, in his limited action last year, over 1,500 yards passing, 14 touchdowns, and only 3 interceptions. Yeah. As a first-year starter, just in the middle of the season against the tough – I mean, he played Michigan's defense, Auburn's defense. He played against a Tennessee team that was decent toward the end of the year. I mean, this kid was in the biggest moments for Alabama, and he showed an ability to lead the offense and should not be a huge drop-off. He was going to beat Auburn and Jordan Hare to get to the playoffs if it wasn't for Najee Harris not turning around and getting pegged in the back of the head, and then Zacoby McClain taking it 100 yards for the second pick 6. Or what if his kicker could just kick a normal field goal and not bounce it off both uprights? That would be a good plan if you want to win Mac Jones.
A lot to ask for.
That is true.
From Alabama team.
That is true. They need Harrison Butker of the Chiefs who can just hit 50-yarders in his sleep. But that's not an NFL podcast.
That kid from Miami last week. Good Lord.
That dude's got a bionic foot. But listen, he has plenty of help on this team. Devontae Smith's back, Jalen Waddle's back, and these guys are the real deal. Brandon, Jalen Waddle might be one of my favorite wide receivers in the entire country.
We know.
Yeah, he is a legit. And, on special teams, Brandon, he averaged 25 or more yards per every single return on punt and kickoff returns. 15 of the 19 passes, 20 yards downfield, he caught. Smith had a 1,200-yard season, 14 touchdowns while averaging almost 19 yards per catch. And, Brandon, you mentioned him. You kind of stole my thunder here. Najee Harris, man, he's a grown man playing against just, college. I mean, it's ridiculous, man. 3rd among SEC running backs since 2014 in value, according to Pro Football Focus, Brandon. He's the best running back, in my opinion, in the SEC. Colin Hill's a close second. He's going to be a first-round pick this year. He would have been a first-round pick this year, I believe. Young players are going to lead this defense. Brandon, I don't know how much you've been reading blogs and stuff, but Will Anderson and Chris Braswell, 2 5-star defensive linemen, freshmen, they are making an impact. Apparently, they've already won starting roles as true freshmen. And apparently, Alex Leatherwood has been getting smacked by these 2 dudes. Like, they're grown men.
That's crazy.
As freshmen. So watch out for them. Christian Barmore, he's also back on the D-line. Don't forget about Dylan Moses and Patrick Surtain on the back end. They're both future first-round picks. Nick Saban, I know Alabama fans are going to want to, I guess, correct me or say this or that, but I really, really think Nick Saban has this most talented Alabama team of all time here. And I think they're going to run through the regular season. I think, if they can stay healthy, this team has a serious, serious shot at the playoff.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So, it's about that time.
It's about that time. Hang on. We got a comment from Periscope. Give Auburn Sam Howell and Zach probably dies or falls in love or both. Listen, if Sam Howell played for Auburn, I'd quit grad school right now, move to Auburn, and I'd just live in the stadium. I wouldn't want to miss a single snap. And Auburn would be going to the Natty this year with Sam Howell as the quarterback. But, Brandon, it's that time. It is that time. So, we got Florida versus Bama for both of us. Who do you have as the SEC champion in 2020?
Zach, I've racked my brain all day, all week, really trying to figure out who I thought was going to win this matchup. And no matter who I pick here, it's going to hurt. And so it kind of, I don't know. Both these teams are so good, but one team, in my opinion, has a better defense. One team, in my opinion, might be the best team in the country, might have the best running back in the country, might have the best wide receiver in the country, and that's Alabama. And so I think I have to give it to them. I'm going with Alabama as this conference champion. I'm not going to act like I'm going out on a limb here. I don't think anyone's ever gone out on a limb choosing Alabama as the conference champion. I don't think anyone's really ever gone out on a limb by choosing Alabama for the national champion. So, not a hot take on this end, but I think they pull it off, and I think they win this conference this year.
Oh, man. I agree with you. I mean, when we went live, I was like, man, this is tough. Like, I have a pick written down, but it's like, is it a right pick? I mean, listen. So last year, guys, I'm going to take y'all way back to the Bluebloods back in the day. Like one of our first episodes, I went on a limb here. I said Joe Burrow's going to have a good season. LSU's talented. LSU's going to win the SEC. And everyone said, man, you're crazy. Even Brandon, who's an LSU fan, said, you don't know what you're talking about. This is stupid. We're never gonna do a podcast. They won the national championship, guys. So listen, I've been having a feeling about this team all season. I've talked about them all season. People who've listened know where I'm going. I have the Florida Gators winning the 2020 SEC championship, getting to the playoffs. I honestly, I know I'm going to get pushback from this, especially from our listeners. I know they all come from Alabama. A lot of them do. But listen, Florida's going to win the SEC title. They have more experience in the right places. I think Alabama's really good. And listen, if the Big 12 slips up, if Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, or Texas don't get to the playoffs with one, maybe 2 losses, I mean, I think Alabama and Florida both could sneak in the playoffs. I think that's how good both these teams are, especially both being undefeated. So Big 12, you better not slack up here. And Big 10, also, God forbid Ohio State loses a game. I mean,
they go 7-1.
It's a wrap. But guys, I have Florida here. And listen, I know how everyone's going to take this. This is going to be bad. I'm going to get so much hate for this one, but I feel like it's coming. But listen, we got a few comments, guys. We have from Periscope. Zach called his Heisman. Did I call his Heisman, or I just say he was going to be in contention? I don't think I called him winning. I said he was going to be a lot better. He might be in contention, but I don't know if I called his Heisman. Get this man a job at ESPN. Hey, my phone is available. Listen, my phone's right here. Give me a call, ESPN. I will dip out of Manhattan, Kansas. We had some questions throughout the show, guys. We're just going to spend a few seconds answering some of these. We got a question for Periscope. Which SEC coach wins in a Hunger Games scenario? I already know my answer for this one.
Maybe not easy.
No, mine's easy. Mine's absolutely easy.
Go ahead.
It's Coach Ed Orgeron. It's your boy from Louisiana. Listen, Coach O, here's why he's going to win, Brandon. He said he's never woken up a day or gotten out of bed a day where someone could whoop his you-know-what. Guess what? He's either waking up and everyone's done for, or guess what? He's just not going to wake up and we don't have to worry about him. That's the only two scenarios for your boy Coach O. Brandon, you're going to look at any other coach in the SEC and say they want that smoke with Coach O.
The only reason, and I'm not even going to choose Mike Leach here, but he's crafty. It's a crafty fella, and he knows. He looks like he knows his way around some weapons. Is all I'm going to say. Coach O though, it's got to be Coach O. It has to be. That man could. You put that man in the wilderness, he survives for 10 years.
Listen, okay, or Nick Saban. Nick Saban might be a good pick because Nick Saban's going to find somebody and recruit them to do it for him. He's going to find the biggest, strongest person in the woods that somehow was there with him and be like, listen, we got great scholarships at Alabama. I just need you to take out this old man, Coach O, and it's a wrap. I mean, if they gang up on Coach O and Coach O's taken out, I think a really, really good second pick. I don't know, bro. Sam Pittman's stout, bro. He's built like a brick house. I don't know if anyone's taking Sam Pittman out. Arkansas might win something.
I don't know.
I'm not taking Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin would be too busy looking at himself in the reflection of the glass or something.
And he's gotten fat. Have you seen him recently? He's gotten real fat. Also, I don't know. I might still stick with Mike Leach here because I feel like you can't even turn this one on me because they're not ganging up on Mike Leach. You simply cannot. This man's hiding out somewhere. People think he's going to be dead for weeks. And he just shows up, and I don't know. I don't know where he comes from. Maybe he propels down from the roof of the dome, but he comes from somewhere.
I mean, but also an underrated pick. This is a sleeper. This is my sleeper pick for a Coach Hunger Games. Have you seen Crazy Will Muschamp?
Yeah,
he's a little scary. What happens if someone pisses Will Muschamp off and he just goes ravage? He just ravages to other coaches. It could be a wrap. So I think I'm gonna go with Coach O, and then a sneaky pick is gonna be my boy Will Muschamp up in South Carolina with Sam Pittman coming in a close third, just because I don't know if anyone can move him. He's just gonna stand in place, and I don't know if he's going anywhere.
That's true. That is very true.
But guys, we appreciate all you guys tuning in to our first real live stream of a real episode. This is not the Audible. This is just a live stream preview. We appreciate all you guys for tuning in. Listen, this video is going to be up on our Facebook page, and definitely it can be found on our Twitter because we went up with live with Periscope. It's going to be on our YouTube channel, so go check it out. Or tell people if they missed it. Everyone knows where to find us. Instagram at @_Bluebloods, Twitter at @_Bluebloods, Facebook at the Bluebloods Pod. Anyone who tuned in, bro, we love you guys. We appreciate you guys. Listen, we ain't done with Bluebloods content this week. Friday, a new episode previewing a loaded weekend of college football. We finally got some SEC games to talk about. We got some Big 12, ACC games. We're covering it all. We have another episode coming Friday, so tune in for that. But guys, for right now, the Bluebloods, we are out.